It was early in October 1948 that I flew back to Paris. Although I'd read the cablegram at least a dozen times, I kept studying it, trying to figure out just what he might mean by new information. Could be anything from rumor to positive proof. I went back over every possibility, and with each one I thought of Lisa. And as usual, that was enough to start me flipping through a mental picture album. As I looked back, the first page became the most prominent. That evening in 1938, as I was hurrying to my news broadcast, when Europe began to get nervous in the summer of '38, the network sent 4 of us from New York to provide a daily roundup of news out of Rome, Paris, Berlin, and London. I drew Paris. On the way over from my hotel, I'd thought of some changes in the wording of my broadcast, so when I got to my cubbyhole, I began making the corrections.
Mon cœur est un violon sur lequel ton arche joue et qui vibre tout du long, appuyé contre ta joue. Tantôt l'air est vif et gai.
Oh, Bill, New York just called to say... Oh, I'm sorry. I will turn off this speaker.
No. Wait till she finishes. Say, who is she?
Her name is Lisa Garrett.
Is she new?
She's been here about a week.
Traîne avec mélancolie.
What were you saying about New York?
They called to say you will not be on direct tonight.
Why?
Berlin is using up all of the time. They want us to record you and then transmit it later. We can start whenever you wish.
Well, as soon as she finishes.
I'll buzz when I'm ready. Oh. Are you coming to the party tonight?
What party's this?
It's a farewell to Monsieur Pravin. He is going back into uniform. We would be happy if you would come.
Is she gonna be there?
Oh, yes.
Then I'll be there. This is William Wainwright reporting from Paris. Here today, as in every other capital city, speculation as to the full significance of the events in Czechoslovakia is not confined to cabinet meetings or embassy conference rooms. Around the tables of the sidewalk cafes, across the counters of the boutiques, in the compartments of the commuting trains, the same question is on every tongue. In the compartments of the commuting trains, the same question is on every tongue. In the Sudetenland, the last of Hitler's demands, or is it just another bargain? Boss's farewell was like any office birthday party. You know, a lot of small talk and big appetites. Champagne gave the boys enough courage to do their bad imitations, and in deference to me, Lisa sang an American song.
I'll be down to get you in a taxi, honey. You better be ready about 8:30. Now, dearie, don't be late. I want to be there when the band starts playing. Remember when we get there, honey, the 2 steps, I'm gonna have them all. Gonna dance, I'll burst my shoes when they play the Jelly Roll Blues. Tomorrow night, at the Dr. Strato's ball.
And I had just enough wine in me to retaliate by joining her on the next chorus with my fractured French. Elle cherchait pour vous dans son taxi, chérie, en gare 8h30. Now, chérie, wait for me. Nous arrivons là-bas quand l'orchestre commence. Attention, when we get there, honey, le 2 steps, elle est tout pour moi. Je danserai away mon chou quand jouer le Jelly Roll Blues. Demain soir, oh, le Dr. Strato's ball. Alors, les tout ensemble, anglais, français. Oui, oui. I'll chercher pour vous dans le taxi, chérie. En gare 8h30. Now, chérie, wait for me. When you find someone with whom you can share laughter, you also find good reason to share the same food and wine. And if you can pass those moments of silent appraisal, you're ready to share the same friends. Pierre and Elaine had known Lisa for years, and the fact that I liked them and they approved of me made sharing the same diversions rather easy. It's important to have things in common and a mutual understanding, but the misunderstandings are even more important. If you can have a good knock down and drag out Brannigan, and in spite of it all still wind up a little closer, well, then the next step is to share the same life together. And when after the last toast has been drunk and the last guest has been shown the door and you're finally alone, you share the same thrill as you discover in those first few hours how empty and without purpose your lives had been before. And you share the same forced gaiety in time of danger. War was declared in '39. Regulations said that I had to put on a French uniform. Common sense told us to tape the windows in case one fell in the neighborhood. You try to treat things like that as lightly as possible, but when in your country every generation for over a century has known what it means to be invaded, well, then the sight of even an ill-fitting uniform is not very humorous. But at first, it was the phony war, the Sitzkrieg, and life went on pretty much the same. And even the childish things which, if done by yourself, seem senseless and boring, sometimes become unforgettable if they're shared with the right person. I showed that guy a rifle arm, didn't I? Little did he know I used to play shortstop for the Ideal Laundry.
And just think, it only cost you 250 francs to win all this.
Isn't that great?
Which you could buy for less than 25. Such a waste, such a waste.
Well, it was worth it, honey. We had a good time.
To me, throwing away money is not very entertaining.
Well, you should have stopped me then. See, I was only doing it because you were having so much fun. Seemed like every time I hit that bullseye, you laughed and squealed and
Because
jumped
you
up
are my husband.
In front of strangers, I will always stand beside you and smile proudly. No matter how big a fool you make of yourself.
Well, we'll take it back then. Maybe you'll give us a refund, huh?
No. They belong to us now. You remember that painting we have wanted so much?
Yeah.
Well, instead, we will put this on the mantel. You like it?
Oh, très chic. Really does something for the room.
Oh. Oh, you know, my cousin had ears just like that. We'll call him Binky after my cousin.
And you have wanted a lamp.
For your desk.
Now you have it.
So I learned to live with the lamp and Binky. And I learned the comfort, security that comes from sharing those intimate moments when two people truly need each other.
Attends, Julien. Laissez-moi. Lâchez-moi.
It's a bad dream. You're all right, honey. It's just an old dream.
Oh, j'ai peur, c'est affreux. It was horrible. He was all alone and he was shrieking in terror.
Oh, that's what it was. The train whistle, and it fitted into your dream, don't you see?
He was such a little boy.
You've been worrying too much about the baby, Lee.
No, it wasn't our child. He was all alone and...
Well, if he's somebody else's child, let them worry, honey.
But he was alone. And I was the only one there. I had to help him. But I couldn't go to him. Something was holding me and I...
Oh, no. And of course you share the same comforting relief when you discover that the new offspring has all his fingers and toes and a good pair of lungs.
Il m'a souri et répondit, il ne se conduit pas bien. Il pose trop de questions. Ouf, ouf. Et à propos de rien.
You've been singing that to him ever since he was born. Il pose trop de questions. Woof, woof. It's nonsense.
My father made up this song just for me. Now, just for Johnny. If you don't like it, you don't have to listen.
You know, you're not looking too well. Maybe I better call this whole thing off, huh?
I am all right, and you will not call it off. It is your job. What you have to do, you do. Where will you broadcast from?
From Lille. But I could postpone it a week, honey.
It's been a month arranging it. It will be a very important broadcast. It's not as if you will be away for a long time. You will be back in 2 days.
Yeah, but Lisa...
You're going.
You know, I could become very fond of you.
Monsieur Wainwright, on vous demande au téléphone.
Ah oui, there goes.
Eh bien, mon bébé, voyons. Viens.
I can't go now, Fred, with Lisa and the... Yeah, I know it'll only be 48 hours, but I just... Have the others left with the equipment yet? Oh, well, I'll have to telephone you later and let you know, I guess. In the meantime, do something for me. Will you call Porter over at the embassy and ask him to get things rolling so I can get Lisa and Johnny out of the country? You do that? Thanks.
Oh, Monsieur Wainwright, you are here very early. I was now going in to see your wife.
Doctor, the Germans have just invaded Holland.
So, it has finally come.
I've got to get them out. When will my wife be able to travel?
It was a difficult birth. To move her right now would undoubtedly bring on a serious hemorrhage.
2 days, maybe 3 days?
There is reason for precaution, monsieur, not for panic. Your wife cannot travel for at least 5 days.
Thank you, Doctor.
But tell her I'll be right in. I must first find out if there is a message for me from the military center. Undoubtedly I shall be needed. Hello?
Since the others had already started for Lille, Lisa wouldn't hear of my staying behind and letting them down. We all knew things were serious, but no one dreamed how serious. Getting up to northern France was nearly impossible. Getting back definitely was. When the Belgian army surrendered, the German lines became a pair of giant calipers that seemed to be measuring the width of Dunkirk. I was classified as what was ironically called a neutral observer. Everybody on that beach was an observer, not by choice, but by circumstance. And like most of the others, I picked up a little remembrance of the occasion. I wound up in an English hospital. So there I was in London with Lisa and the baby in Paris. The time I came to and got on my feet again, and the French had capitulated, so in order to get back to Paris, I had to be accredited as a correspondent all over again, this time by the Nazis. There were forms to fill out and new uniforms to get used to and chairs at the embassy to wait in. And then came the answer. It was short and definite. Due to my antagonistic attitude to the Third Reich, the Nazis would not permit me to enter France. Well, if I can't get in, then you just got to do everything possible to get my wife and child out.
Looks like we'll have to continue our discussion in the shelter. If you just fill out these papers, we'll get to work on it right away. There shouldn't be too much difficulty. Your child is a citizen and your wife is entitled to a 1A visa.
More papers meant more waiting. And during this time, the Nazis reopened the radio stations in Paris. Lisa got her job back singing those simple French songs she did so well. I practically lived in the studio in London, but I always kept tuned in on Radio Paris.
Sur lequel ton arche joue et qui vibre tout du long, appuyé contre ta joue, tantôt l'air.
I couldn't understand her working for the Germans. Was she forced to? But I was grateful for every word, and yet I hated the fact that I couldn't even whisper her name to her in return. Why couldn't the embassy get her out? There was always some delay, some excuse.
Has it occurred to you, Mr. Wainwright, that your wife might not want to leave Paris? I was just wondering, have you considered the possibility that your wife might be working with the underground?
Yes, I have. I've gotten some letters from my wife. They were brought to me by RAF flyers who were smuggled out of there by the underground. Well, naturally, she's got friends in the resistance, but I'm positive she couldn't be active in it.
Mr. Wainwright, only the trustworthy have friends in the resistance, and the trustworthy are the resistance.
And a few nights later, I found out that the southern boy knew what he was talking about.
J'ai dit à mon papa, personne n'aime mon chien.
Hey, Ronnie, this thing's acting up again.
Nothing wrong with the receiver, Bill. The Jerry's must have cut off the transmitter.
This is William Wainwright, reporting from London. This city, which knows well the meaning of resistance, is talking tonight of the courage and the audacity of a French woman across the Channel. A few nights ago, in the midst of a soothing, innocent musical program, Radio Paris suddenly went dead. And the voice of this woman singing at the time was abruptly silenced. Today, the reason for this unexpected silence filtered through to London. For months, under the very noses of the Gestapo, this singer, Lisa Garay, had been broadcasting valuable information to other members of the underground throughout France. The title, My Heart is Like a Violin, sounds harmless enough, but to those who knew the code, heart meant supply trains. Like was Tuesday, and violin was the word for destroy. From the moment her voice was silenced until I re-entered Paris with the French troops in 1944, I never heard a word from her, nor any word of what happened to her. But then they told me she'd been shot by the Gestapo. And Elaine, Pierre's wife, they shot her too. But they didn't get the baby. Lisa, fearing that she was going to be caught, and turned Johnny over to somebody else in the resistance. But nobody knew exactly who. So I started my search for the boy. Off and on for 3 years, I followed every clue, an address, a word, a name, anything. It was a search that led me everywhere and nowhere.
We are going to be in Paris in about an hour. Would you like some breakfast?
Oh, thanks.
You were the one who told me you could not sleep on a plane.
I wasn't sleeping. I could hear those motors all night and a baby crying.
What baby? Oh, there is no baby on the plane, monsieur. You were dreaming.
Pierre was at Orly to meet me, and he told me that the International Tracing Service had opened an office in Paris, and that he'd taken the liberty of turning my case over to them. He wanted me to see for myself what they'd found, so we dropped my bags at the hotel and went right to the office at the Place Parmentier.
I'm sure you have probably seen this, but if you haven't, it's a report from the War Crimes Commission, the testimony of the witnesses who saw your wife shot by the Gestapo.
I haven't seen it, and I don't want to. Where's the other statement by the concierge?
You never read his testimony?
Bill, it's been over 5 years. It's not going to help you to ignore it as if it never happened.
They told me she was dead. Isn't that enough?
No. Not unless you're willing to admit it to yourself, and I have the feeling you never have, and
we came here to find the boy. Now, let's go ahead.
Now, the concierge states that 2 days before your wife was arrested, she took your son out in the afternoon and returned 1 hour later alone. Obviously, she had the feeling that...
Yes, go on.
This is several testimonies saying that the old priest, Father Bavier, who lived at Rue de Vaisseau, took out in this house many, many children who...
But he died in 42, so you can't...
On the 24th of December, 5 days after Lisa was arrested. Yeah. He was still alive when she took your son someplace.
Well, let's admit that Johnny was taken to the priest's house, but who took him from there?
That's what I think we have discovered. That's what I meant by new information.
Yes, here are 3 other files where the children were brought to the priest all during November and December, before your wife's death. In each case, the child was later removed from the priest's house by the same person, a laundress by the name of Madame Quillebeuf.
Notice, Madame Quillebeuf, Madame Quillebeuf, Madame Quillebeuf.
Madame Quillebeuf, il say to me, le bon Dieu vous bénira. Comprenez, for 2 years, I do the washing of Monsieur le Curé, every week. And for it, I did not want to accept 1 centime. He was a man of God. Some people give money to the church and to charity. I have no money. I gave what I could. My back, my arms, my soap. When I had soap, that deaf as a bavier put this on my knees like so. And he say to me, today, I have a new kind of washing. When I look, monsieur, there were the babies.
She went on to tell me how she and the priest operated after that. Every Thursday, she would go to pick up his laundry and bring home a child under the clothes in the basket. Then early the next morning, someone would arrive, a different person each time, give a prearranged phrase of identification, take the baby and smuggle it out of Paris. Or try to. What happened to those who were caught was not very comforting, and I was grateful to Pierre for changing the subject.
Yes, we know that, but Monsieur is anxious to hear about the last child of all.
Ah oui, mon petit boubou. Oh, such a boy.
His name was Boo Boo?
Oh, no. That is the name I gave to him because he was like my own son. I had a son too. But he died as a baby from the fever.
Oh, I'm sorry. You never knew Boo Boo's real name, huh?
Monsieur le Curé never told me any of their names. And I did not ask. Silence. It was better not to know too much.
Although she loved the child and wanted to keep him, she couldn't afford the food that he needed, so she took him to a little town just outside of Paris called Montfort-la-Marie, and she put him in an orphanage there. So I went to the little village, but not with any great hope. I couldn't help but feel that the washwoman's memory had been stimulated more by the money that I gave her than by anything else. But although she'd said nothing to make me positive this was Johnny I was about to see, she'd also said nothing that definitely proved that it wasn't. It was the same old story, just enough evidence to force me to go on. And I knew what would have happened if I hadn't. Every time I looked at an 8-year-old boy, I would have been reminded that I hadn't done everything possible. A year after that, it would have been every 9-year-old, and 10 years later, every 19-year-old. But I went alone, because I didn't want Pierre's enthusiasm to prejudice me. And yet it was more than that. I didn't want to be alone with him. I always had the feeling that Pierre knew more about me than I knew about myself, and I wasn't anxious to travel with a second conscience.
Bonjour, madame.
Ah, bonjour, monsieur.
Avez-vous une chambre pour moi?
Oh, ça sera difficile, voyons. Oh, vous avez de la chance. Le 8 sur la cour est libre, ou alors le 12 sur la rue avec vue. Mais je vous préviens, elle est plus chère.
Excusez, j'ai pas compris.
Oh, Nelly, viens un peu ici. Je ne comprends pas ce qu'il me dit à propos de la chambre.
She said that the front room is more expensive than one on the court.
Oh, thank you. Vos chambres sur rue, s'il vous plaît, hein?
Ah, bon, j'ai compris.
She was born in Toulouse, you know, and she can't forget the dialect. All Americans have trouble understanding her.
See, my accent gave me away, too, huh?
It's charming. You have come to Montfort-la-Marie on business or pleasure?
Business, sort of.
I thought so. This town is no place to come for pleasure. Unless you happen to meet the right person who knows the right places.
I don't think I'll have much time for any sightseeing.
In a village so small, it is surprising how much you can see in an hour or two.
Oh, you work here in the hotel, huh?
No, but she's my aunt. She and my uncle own this place. My uncle is not here at the moment. I will show you to your room.
No, thanks. I think I'll just, I'll leave my bag down here for a moment. I want to go right up to the orphanage. Could you tell me where it is?
I can show you.
Merci, madame.
De rien, monsieur.
Go to the top of the hill there. This street will take you up. The orphanage is right behind those ruins.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Pour chercher les souliers qui sont à ressembler. Voulez-vous les lui donner? Please, sit down. I'm sorry to have kept you waiting, Mr. Wainwright.
Well, it's quite all right. I spent the time hoping that your French wouldn't be too fast and mine too slow, but now I see...
I was fortunate enough to serve God in many countries. Monsieur Fernier wrote last week and explained your position very clearly. I can well understand your anxiety and hope in this mission. But in your relationship with this child, you must guard against becoming emotional. If you should demonstrate undue pity and then decide he is not your son and leave, I'm sure you can understand the consequence to the child.
Yes, I can understand that.
Now, what I plan to tell Jean is that you just...
Jean? J-E-A-N?
Yes.
Well, my son's name is John. They sound a good deal alike, don't you think? And when a child says them, it'd be difficult to tell the difference. Did he tell you his name was Jean?
No, I'm afraid it was just a coincidence. When Madame Guillebeuf brought him, she called him Boubou. He was unable to give us any indication of his own name, and it just so happened that the day before he arrived, another boy called Jean died. Since the name tags were on the bed and the clothes, and since we were very busy at the time...
It's easy to see, ma mère, that you've been able to keep emotion out of your relationship with the children.
There are 60 boys here, all of them equal in the eyes of God. Sentimental partiality toward anyone can only be at the expense of the others. The tracing service sent me a record of your blood type, eye coloring, and other characteristics that might be...
She calculated the heredity factors with the efficiency of a computing machine, and with just about the same amount of concern. I could have told her what the findings would be before she started. There would be no proof that we were father and son, just that according to the laws of heredity, we possibly could be, which probably also would apply to any 10 others in the orphanage. She criticized me for having no pictures of myself at the age of 7. And the fact that I'd lost my only snapshots of Lisa at Dunkirk was nothing short of reprehensible. At least we were in agreement that Jean shouldn't know that I might be his father. I would be introduced as a friend of Madame Guillebeuf's, who would come to see if he was well and happy.
Now, do you have any preference as to method of procedure?
Well, I thought if I could talk to the boy, my instinct might...
Very possibly mislead you. The boy's future is at stake. Yours, too. I wouldn't trust to instinct. Paternity cannot be decided by a sudden rapid pulse or a lump in the throat.
I fully realize that. Naturally, I thought of mentioning some names he must have heard, or recalling his mother to mind, or where he lived, or...
But don't be easily discouraged. For the past 4 years, we have been doing everything to make the children forget the very portion of their lives that you now hope Jean will remember.
Could I see the boy now?
If you wish. It's just down the hall. I would suggest to start with that you and Jean take a stroll through the village.
Yeah.
Study the way he walks. Very often father and son have a similar gait. And in this case, you could be sure it was not imitated.
Oh, Susanna?
Yes, we feel that his second language is most important for the boys who have an aptitude. And singing is a relief from textbooks. Please, continue, Sister Marcella.
I came from Alabama with my bonjour on my knee. I'm going to Louisiana, my true love for to see. It rained all night the day I left. The weather, it was dry. The sun so hot, I froze to death. Susanna, don't you cry. Oh,
Jean is the one at the other end.
don't you cry for me. I've come from Alabama with my bonjour on my knee. Oh, Susanna, oh, don't you cry for me.
Jean, viens. What you did just then, I've seen happen many, many times. Even mothers who claim their maternal instinct infallible make the same mistake. If there is the slightest resemblance, they will favor the child who is alert, intelligent-looking, and personable. I have come to the conclusion that parental instinct is very often confused with conceit. Jean, viens. Ferme ta porte. Dis bonjour à Monsieur Wainwright.
Bonjour, monsieur.
Il parle anglais. Mr. Wainwright is from America.
How do you do, mister?
Oh, Jean. Glad to know you.
Mr. Wainwright is a friend of Madame Keybuff's. Your grandmother. Voyons, Jean. Souviens-toi, ta bonne maman.
Oh.
Mr. Wainwright would like to take you for a walk. Maybe he'll take you to see the trains.
Would you like to see the trains, Jean?
Now get your coat. And speak English with Mr. Wainwright. It's good practice. Un bon exercice.
Oui, ma mère.
Au revoir, monsieur.
Au revoir, ma sœur.
Au revoir, Jean.
Au revoir.
I began to study his walk as she told me to, but I didn't find the slightest similarity. Oh, this is just a waste of time. It couldn't be my child. My son would be agile, sure-footed. He'd coordinate better than that. But then, much as I disliked the Mother Superior, I began to wonder if she wasn't right. If it wasn't conceit after all. Maybe I was like every rooster, convinced that it's his crowing that brings on the dawn. Well, we go down to the station and wait. You want to do that? John, come on, let's sit over here and wait.
Look, monsieur, un éléphant.
It's the same word in English, too. Elephant.
Elephant.
That's right. Can you read what it says there?
Some words, yes. 14 Octobre, entrée. Why did they put an elephant here?
Oh, because the circus is coming to Montfort. Le cirque.
Le cirque vient ici?
Mm-hmm. Not tomorrow, but the day after.
Can I put my shoe here?
I think so. Have you ever seen a circus, Jean?
No, monsieur.
Well, maybe if I'm still here, then we... I know your name, Jean, but I don't believe you know mine, do you?
Still Wainwright?
Oh, no, I mean my first name. Say, what do we got here? You hungry?
Gâteau, bonbons, chocolat.
You want something to eat? How about one of those buns there?
Buns?
Un gâteau pour vous.
Oh.
Go ahead, pick any one you want, John.
You tell me which one, please.
How about that one?
Hmm? Thank you.
Pretty good, huh? Très bon, huh?
Mm-hmm.
My first name is William, but sometimes I'm called Bill. Did you ever hear that name before?
No, monsieur. Do elephants drink from his nose?
Uh-huh. In a way, they do. Yeah. What girls' names do you like?
I do not know any names of girls, just the boys.
Well, what about the sisters? Sister Therese, who opens the door, and Sister Marcella.
Are those girls' names? I thought those are just sisters' names.
My favorite girl's name is Lisa.
Lisa. It is a pretty name.
Did you ever hear it before?
It doesn't hurt him to have water in his nose.
No, it doesn't. Did you ever...
I don't like water in my nose.
Did you ever hear the name Lisa before?
No, monsieur.
Well, eat that up and I'll get you another cake.
I think I could not eat it all.
Well, eat as much as you can.
That would... Ce sera du gaspillage? How do you say gaspillage in English?
Well, you'd say such a waste.
Such a waste. Such a waste.
Such a waste. How many times had Lisa said that in almost the same way? Was this Lisa speaking now, or was this just being French? It was always the same dilemma with even the weakest piece of evidence. I asked other questions. I tried to recall friends of Lisa's and mine. People who would have played with him and given him trinkets during the occupation, but nothing brought about the slightest reaction. I played, here's the church and here's the steeple, so I could get a good look at his hands and compare them. But his fingers were long and tapering, more like Lisa's or the Mother Superior's or a million others. They were cold and rough and chapped, too. Did you have any gloves? They gone?
No, monsieur. Robert has des gants blue. Sa tante make for him.
Sa tante is his aunt, so his aunt made them for him.
Aunt, we learned that first lesson. I forget.
Well, don't let it worry you. They sound much alike anyhow, tante, aunt.
But Sister Marcella tells I should not put French words in English sometimes.
Well, everybody does. You know how I sounded when I first started speaking French?
No.
Would vous, s'il vous plaît, tell me où est le taxicab? Je must get to the gare très fast, because le chemin de fer partir, je don't want to be tired.
Do you think they will have two elephants?
Well, they might. They just might. You see, even they sound alike. But I don't know. Somehow people seem to understand no matter what the words are. I remember a girl once. She was trying to learn English. She used to tell me, don't listen to what I say, listen to what I mean. And you know, it worked out. There was a song, how'd that thing go now? It was written way before you were born. About this very same thing, too. Let's see. The Yankee reaches for his hat, the Frenchman his chapeau. The Frenchman takes a promenade, the Yankee's on the go. But however people say, or whatever people do, c'est la m'est égal if it's all the same to you. Now the Eiffel Tower, très très haut, the Empire State is high, the River Seine is très mouillé, the Hudson is dry. But no matter how you say it, or whatever people do, c'est la m'est égal if it's all the same to you. On the Rue de la Paix or 42nd Street, Well, they'll understand toot the sweet blue beat. Well, all right. The Frenchman takes a wagon lead to get from France to Spain. Now the Yankee takes a Pullman, but they both get on a train. So it really doesn't matter, and as far as I can see, if it's all the same to you, it's all the same to me. C'est la m'est égal, c'est la vie.
That is a very funny song.
Merci.
There's some more.
Oh, yes, let's see. The Yankee reaches for his...
No, you sang that.
Yeah, so I did. The Frenchman's quite a bon vivant. The Yankee's quite a sport. And if they don't live right next door, they still live port to port. So no matter, friend, who you are, no matter who je suis, if it's all the same to you, it's all the same to me. C'est la m'est égal, c'est la vie. Now, do you think you could manger another gâteau?
Cela m'est égal.
Here we go. Combien de ceci, mademoiselle?
40 francs, monsieur.
Bien, mais donnez-moi deux.
Comment? À Paris? Ah oui, je vois, oui. That was Dr. Marcatella I was talking to. He's a retired psychologist who lives here now. He's been a great help to us. He hopes you are not too discouraged by this afternoon.
Oh, no. I realize these things take a little time. The boy was under a strain today.
He made a very good suggestion, I think. That you take Jean to Paris for a day or so.
No, I don't think that would be of any value.
On the pretext of visiting his grandmother.
Well, you know, Monsieur Fenier made the same suggestion, but I just don't see where I could possibly...
Jean will cause you no trouble. He's well-mannered and quite capable of taking care of himself. The doctor suggests that you let him spend a little time with the laundress and then walk him through the neighborhood where he lived with his mother.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that might be a very good idea. I could possibly make an arrangement with the people who live in our apartment now, huh? If I showed him the same stairs, the same hallways, the same rooms, it might stimulate his memory.
That's what the doctor said. But not only the sights. He mentioned that with some people, smells are very important. Sometimes they are remembered long after the eye forgets.
Tell me, is Jean healthy?
He has a tendency to rickets. He's anemic, but fortunately, and this is a great deal today, he has not yet got tuberculosis.
Next high school.
Hey, that reminds me. I have a gift for you.
Gift?
Yeah, a cadeau, you know, a present.
A cadeau pour moi?
A present for you, that's right.
Is it my birthday?
Now, Jean, you ought to know when your birthday is better than I do. Is it in October?
I do not know. I never had a birthday. Do you think, monsieur, that is why no one ever gave me a present?
Oh, no, of course not. No. Hardly any boys get presents nowadays. You know, since the war, everybody's busy. They're building up the cities and working in factories, stuff like that.
The other boys have birthdays. They get presents.
You're going to get a present, too. Would you like to see what it is? Go ahead, open it.
I do not care what is in it.
Go ahead, open it. Go ahead, try them on. they're too small. We'll have to take them back and get a larger size tomorrow, huh? Oh, now there's nothing to cry about. It's just a silly old pair of gloves.
I'm not silly.
Come on, stop crying, Jean.
It is my present. I'm not silly.
I tell you what, let's do, Jean. Let's pretend that these were your present when you were still a little boy, and you've just grown out of them, that's all. I'll get you a bigger pair.
If you pretend that, could I keep these?
Why, sure you can. Something? I got another present for you. I've reached a point in life where I'm not very keen about birthdays anymore, so I'm going to make you a present of my birthday.
It is allowed, monsieur?
It's my birthday. I can do whatever I want with it, can't I? Would you like it?
Oh, yes, monsieur. When is it?
16th of July.
Octobre, Novembre, Décembre, Janvier, Février, Mars.
I just happened to think of something. I can't do that. I've got to keep my birthday another year because some friends of mine have planned a great big party for me, a little celebration. But I got a brother now. Let's see. When's my brother's birthday? We'll grab one of his, huh? He's not very keen about birthdays either. It's in October. The 13th of October. Let's see what day it is today. Let's take a look here. It's the 12th. That's tomorrow. Wouldn't that be better?
Do you think monsieur would give it to me?
Oh, well, we're going to call him as soon as we get to Paris, huh?
Thank you.
Pierre.
Bonjour, Bill. You have a good trip?
It's Jean.
Ah, bonjour, Bill. Bien?
Hey, aren't you through yet?
I am finished very fast, monsieur.
Mother Superior said not to lavish any presents on him, but I don't suppose she'd object to some new shoelaces, would she?
Monsieur, désirez-vous autre chose?
Merci, non, c'est parfait.
It was an excellent meal, thank you.
Nothing like it used to be before the war.
Very little is, with the exception of our monuments. You like this hotel?
Mm-hmm, I always stay here.
Oh, of course, that's right. After you were married, you and Lisa lived here for a time. Ellen and I had drinks with you one evening. It was a suite very much like this, if I recall.
No, it was on the 4th floor. On the other side, too. Did you talk to Madame Quillebeuf?
Yes. Yes, I went to see her and explained why you were bringing the boy to Paris. She'll be waiting for us in the morning. But the people who live in your apartment were not at home. I dropped by again tonight.
Well, you must have work to do. I don't like to take up so much of your time.
Oh, no. I'm just starting a new novel, and at that stage, all writers pray for interruptions. Just a little. I must go in a few minutes. I'm taking Gabrielle to the theater. I hope you'll have time to meet her before you go back.
You planning to marry?
Yes. Forgive me, Bill, if I'm intruding, but have you ever thought of getting married again?
Yes, but that's as far as it goes. The best, by comparison, seems rather uninteresting.
I doubt if any woman could compare with your memory of Lisa. Not even Lisa. Watch out for memory, Bill. It can caress you and soothe you, and it can also devour you.
There. Now they look a little better.
Sometimes talking with a friend can accomplish a great deal. I'm ready whenever you are.
Pourquoi neige par la
Well, sounds like he's out of the tub.
Au bord de l'eau, à tout bout de champ, je pense au joli bateau. Aussi, à chaque examen, mes parents me gâtent. Ils me rachètent un sous-marin où je regarde.
Now, once you're catching cold now, put on the peignoir.
Lisa used to sing that. You don't suppose she taught it to him?
No, no. I had the same hope when he sang it on the train, but he learned it at school.
But what about some of our other songs? Things like Mon cœur est un violon. Have you sung those to him?
Well, they're old favorites. He could have heard 100 people sing them. But there's one song nobody else could have sung. It was a little nursery rhyme that her father made up. À propos de rien, je dis à mon papa, personne n'aime mon chien. Pourquoi, pourquoi, pourquoi?
Are you sure you have the words right?
Well, it's a nonsense song. Always puzzled me, too.
Have you tried it with the boy?
No, I'm almost afraid to. If he doesn't remember it,
It is warm, so, monsieur?
Yeah, that's right. Here, sit over here in this chair. I think there's a little heat coming up there. Wrap it around you now so you keep warm. Monsieur Finier was wondering what kind of songs you sing in school.
Oh, Susanna, oh, don't you cry for me. It's my bonjour on mine.
I think he meant what French songs, you see.
Sur le pont d'Avignon?
Oui, monsieur.
How's that go?
Sur le pont d'Avignon, l'on y danse.
On y danse sur le pont d'Avignon. On y danse tous en rond.
Say, I know a good one. Do you know Frère Jacques? We'll sing it as a round. He'll start it, I'll start it, then he'll come in, then I'll point to you. You ready? Frère Jacques, Frère Jacques, dormez-vous, sonnez les matines, sonnez les matines, ding dong bell, ding dong bell, Frère. Oh, that's all right, nice try anyhow. Here's a good song. See if you remember this. À propos de rien, je dis à mon papa, personne n'aime mon chien. Pourquoi, pourquoi, pourquoi? Elle me sourit et répondit, elle ne se conduit pas bien. Il pose trop de questions, wouf, wouf, et à propos de rien. Did you ever hear that song?
No, monsieur.
Well, then why did you listen to it with your face all twisted up like you're trying to remember?
I was trying to think what it means. The dog can talk and ask questions.
Yeah, that's the general idea. Well, Jean, you better go into bed.
It still doesn't prove anything. It was not what Lisa sang, it was the way she sang it. A different voice, a different accent. Did you show him the picture of Hélène I gave you?
Oh, yes. He recognized her all right. As the woman who sells eggs down by the school. Well, I'm going in with him.
I think so. I can let myself out, don't bother. See you at Madame Kiebeuf at 9, huh?
Good night.
Good night, Bill.
I'll leave a light on in the other room. The door open. I'll be in later. Good night.
Good night.
allons. Là. Tu te rappelleras maintenant du jeu de la petite souris, hein. Attention. La petite souris qui monte, hop là. La petite souris qui monte, qui monte. Rentrez. Hop là.
Sorry, I'm late. Oh, Pierre. Bonjour, un petit bœuf. Bonjour, mon petit vieux. Ça va? Did the room seem familiar to him?
Ah oui. Ah, la dernière porte au bout du couloir. That he will remember. A boy does not forget where he spends so much time. All that is needed is to remember one thing. Then everything will come back. Oh, he's so thin. Look, it is not even dirty, but it has wrinkles. So she says, wash it. To have so much money. This she used to once to wave at somebody. And now, wash it, she says.
Here. Souvenir d'un jour. Lisa's favorite. She always wore it.
Oh, yes. I remember now. I don't think I ever knew anyone else who used it.
It was a special blend. There was always just a whisper of it whenever she was near. As much a part of her as the way she smiled. Where is it?
In the what?
Well, I wanted the boy to smell it. Those are things you remember.
Oh, I'm sorry, monsieur. But the wash is from Madame Adré. I could ask her where she buys it.
No, I know that. There's only one place. It's a little shop near the,
Oh, te voilà. Tu veux un gâteau? Oh, j'en ai mis de côté pour toi, tu sais. Je savais bien que tu viendrais me rendre visite. Hein? Tiens, mon Dieu, que tu as grandi. Mais t'es un vrai petit homme. Alors, tu les as aimés, les gâteaux? Tu en veux d'autres? Bien, je vais t'en emmener. Et puis quand tu reviendras, je t'en ferai.
It's about the arrangements. I didn't want the boy to hear. I talked to the people in your old apartment. He's an American. Air Force, stationed at Orly. You can go over now if you want.
Okay, but I want to go by the perfume shop first.
Oh. I told the lieutenant that we didn't want the boy to know why we were bringing him to the flat, so I thought that maybe you two could pretend to be old friends from home and... Huh?
Oui, madame, bien. Voulez-vous mettre un peu ce mouchoir, s'il vous plaît? You think my secretary would care for this, Pierre?
Very subtle.
You like it, John?
Someplace I just smelled this before.
Well, maybe it was just the flowers in front of the school, huh?
No. There was a lady. She smelled that way.
A lady?
Yes. She used to hold me and sing to me and kiss me.
Say, you know something? After you fell asleep last night, I spoke to my brother, and he said you could have his birthday.
He did, monsieur?
So today is your day.
I am 8. Robert is only 7.
Oui, Jean-Paul. Voulez-vous l'emballer?
Oui, monsieur.
I never thought your search would end in a perfumery.
If you want to tell him now, I can go. No. As a matter of fact, I can't do it right now. The other superior asked me in case this happened to wait till I got back. She might be an emotional shock, and I think she's right. I wouldn't know how to cope with it. You remember the elephants?
Oui, monsieur.
I'm going to show you his grandfather. We're going out to the zoo. And there'll be elephants, monkeys, bears. To know at last that our boy was alive made me alive, too. for the first time in years. And it brought Lisa back. There she was, walking on the other side of him, and we were starting to do all the little things we'd planned together.
Bon voyage, soyez prudents.
Are you enjoying your birthday?
Very much, monsieur. Thank you to your brother for giving it to me.
Well, to tell you the truth, it wasn't exactly my idea. A fellow named Robert Louis Stevenson thought of it first. He gave his birthday to a little girl. Did you ever hear of him? He wrote Treasure Island, L'île au trésor. Did you ever hear that? Yes, I suppose there's a lot you've never heard of. In a way, you're a very lucky lad. In the books that you haven't read a word of, there's a great bunch of friends you've never had. I envy the fun you've got in store, doing what you haven't done before. Someday you'll be looking through a magic window, and you'll see yourself sail off with Captain Kidd. Ah, what adventures you'll enjoy, and you'll be the only boy to discover where the treasure chest was hid. And if I remember, that's what I once did. I remember looking through a magic window, and I saw myself teach Robin Hood to aim. And what mischief I got in, meeting Huckleberry Finn. And I saw it through that magic window frame. Well, you can bet your bottom dream you'll do the same. Wave your nose against the pane and your elbows on the sill. You'll be a partner of Buffalo Bill, or help solve a case with Sherlock Holmes, or you'll get to go with Gulliver each time he roams. Grown-ups don't know where to find that magic window, but it's any window little boys look through. Ah, there's so much for you to see, so don't ever say to me that you've got a lot of growing up to do. 'Cause I wish that I were growing down to you.
Who is Sherlock Holmes?
Holmes.
Holmes.
He was a famous detective, always caught the murderer. Assassin.
Oh.
Plenty of others, too. There's Alibaba and the 40 Thieves, Aladdin and his lamp, Blackbeard the pirate, and King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. A lot of good reading there. Of course, we mustn't forget Cyrano de Bergerac.
Oh, I heard about him. He had a long nose.
And speaking of noses, how about Pinocchio? Makes Cyrano look like a button nose, way down to there.
Oh, I like to read about him.
There's plenty of others just as interesting, too. You'll love them all. Hey, Pierre!
Alors, did you have a good trip?
Ah, c'est un bon voyage. Très bon, très bon. John! Here, catch!
Thank you for fixing it.
You are quite welcome.
I'll have this one finished in a minute.
Chauchons les marrons. Allons les enfants, chauchons.
Des marrons.
Bon marron. Allons les enfants, chacun son tour.
Oh, those are chestnuts.
Chestnuts.
Would you like some?
Laissez-vous vous servir. Chauchons
Pour
les
vous,
marrons.
pour moi, pour Pierre.
Chauchons les marrons. Allons les enfants.
Oh, my perfume.
Bon marron.
Souvenir d'un jour?
No, it's just a little gift I got from my secretary.
Oh, I'm glad. For a moment, I wondered if you'd taken to bottling your memories.
Bon marron. Allons les enfants, achetez les bons marrons. Chauchons les marrons. I'll do it in you.
Moi, c'est moi le premier. Oh non, c'est moi.
I just thought of something. In our excitement, we've forgotten the lieutenant and the apartment completely.
Oh, yeah, well, we better get going. After all, we're supposed to be old friends, you know.
I can call him and tell him that it's not necessary now.
Oh, no, we can't do that. Fella's nice enough to cooperate. The least we can do is drop by for a little bit, don't you think? Anyhow, it'll be kind of interesting to see how much more he'll remember.
Or if you've forgotten any of it.
And when I was at Kelly, we used to listen to your news broadcasts all the time. Anytime anything big was cooking. We always had the feeling you were giving it to us straight. Like what Colonel Bassett used to say about you. You didn't fishtail all over the place. Oh, come to think of it, it wasn't Colonel Bassett, it was Colonel, Isn't that funny? I know his name as well as I know my own. A big, heavy-set fella. Well, doesn't it make you mad when you can't think of a name? It's on the tip of your tongue and you can't say it. McGraw. Colonel McGraw. Yeah, that's who it was. Did you ever hear of him, Mr. Wainwright?
Huh? Oh, no, I never did. You like Paris, Chuck?
Oh, you can say that again. Paris has really got it.
What's the matter, John?
Was I in this place before?
Why, does it seem familiar? Familier? Huh?
Le Gugus.
Say, Chuck, what kind of duty you got out there at Orly?
Oh, it's real cushy. It's with the Air Transport Command. All the flights from Westover on their way to Rhine, Main, or Berlin usually land here. Sometimes if they have to lay over for some reason, it's my job to assign the billeting.
Maybe you used to sit here and watch the people go by, huh?
Yes. And those bicycles. I saw them too.
Say, you know something? I left my pipe down one of those boats. I'll be right back.
Maybe we should all go now.
Oh, no. The lieutenant promised me a cup of that good PX coffee. I'm not going to let him out of that. No, stay right where we are. Just be a second.
Oh, monsieur, did you remember?
Yes, he remembered. He even remembered a bicycle shop that he couldn't have seen because it's only been there for 6 months. You told him, didn't you?
Yes. Monsieur Verdi told me yesterday why you are bringing Boubou to Paris. But then, believe me, I had no idea to tell him. But when I see his legs not as strong as the chickens, and his face so thin, and his chest flat like this, then I know I must. Oui, monsieur. I told him. I told him why you will take him to the apartment. I told him to remember anything you want him to remember. And the perfume. I told him it should make him to remember a lady who used to hold him and kiss him and sing to him.
Why'd you do it?
Because I know if he remembers, you will take him on a big boat where the air is good and the soup is thick and hot. And you will give him a warm bed and his clothes. He will not get because they are too small for somebody else. But they will be his. They will belong to him. And why should he not have such things? Was the bomb, and the hunger, and the killing his fault? Did I save anyone from quick death just so he should have a slow death, dying a little more each winter? No, no, no. For Boubou, I will lie to you, or to le bon Dieu himself. Et puis, monsieur Malcan, vous êtes sans cœur. Et même s'il n'est pas votre fils, pourquoi vous ne le prenez pas? Monsieur Malcan, je ne veux plus vous voir. Et ne voulez jamais,
You sure missed him, Mr. Wainwright. Jean feels pretty sure he remembers this place from before. Remembers having fires in the fireplace and watching trains out that window.
Uh-huh. You look all around the apartment?
No, just in here.
Did you find your pipe, monsieur?
It wasn't in the boat, Jean. I left it at your bonne maman's. We had a long talk, Jean.
But I do remember, monsieur. I do. I do.
Well, then you remember where the bathroom is and the kitchen and so on. Your hands are sticky. Go to the bathroom. Wash them.
Jean should not have done it, of course. And I wish I could say he should have known better. But you must remember that a few short years ago, during the occupation, these children were taught to lie with enchanting innocence, steal with cunning, and even help occasionally to kill a lone enemy with such stealth and efficiency that neither the neighbors nor the conscience was disturbed.
I understand all that. Certainly, I don't blame Jean. But the fact is, I could find no evidence he was my child.
In your absence, I continually prayed for guidance in this matter. And I am convinced that it is right that you should take this child.
Well, I came here to find my child, not adopt somebody else's.
Adopt is a rather cold word. I think you need this child. Mr. Wainwright, after reading your file and meeting you, I feel sorry for you.
We were speaking about Jean, not me. Aren't these children ever adopted by families?
Oh, yes. Some are occasionally taken in by farmers when their own sons go to the cities. However, in those cases, the selection is often based on not how much the child is loved, but on how much the child can carry.
Well, it's not Jean's fault that he's puny.
I quite agree with you. I do not mean to deprecate those who perform physical labor. But Jean was not meant for such a life. He's more inclined toward scholastic pursuits. He will make an excellent schoolmaster, or perhaps a journalist, like yourself. You could offer him the understanding and guidance he could never receive here.
You know, the first time I came here, Maurey, you were quick to point out that you were against partiality toward any one child because it could only be given at the expense of the others. Seems to me you've changed your opinion or your approach.
You are not a very observing man, are you, Mr. Wainwright? I thought you would have seen through me before this. Looking back to our first visit, I rather think I deliberately made myself unpleasant so that you would dislike me and this place to such an extent that you would want to rescue Jean. Obviously, I was not unpleasant enough. Oh, you are more dispassionate than I thought.
Maybe. I don't think I'm so dispassionate I could have named Jean after a dead child because I was too busy to change the name tags.
Busy? Did it ever occur to you what busy meant in 1942? We had 30 children here. That's all we were allowed. The Germans came every day to count and search, to make sure we didn't take in any new children. Yes, we were busy when the laundress came that day. We were busy digging out stones from the cellar floor with our hands. Busy clawing up the dirt underneath so that we could bury the original Jean and put the new one in his bed before the soldiers made their rounds. Yes, we were very, very busy that day, Mr. Wainwright.
Oh, I'm sorry, Maurey. I just didn't realize it.
You are a very stupid man if you think my heart doesn't go out to each and every one of these boys. My room is directly above the dormitory where they sleep. When I hear a deep racking cough in the night, even though I hear it through 12 inches of ceiling and floor, I can tell you whether it is Joseph, Felix, François, Claude, or Maurice. At Mass, when the farmers pray for rain, I pray for cloudless skies, because to me rain means only that George's legs will ache more and Louis' breathing will turn to gasps. To some, the first snowfall is beautiful. But to me it brings cold that makes Gaston's hands white and numb again. And to Antoine it does.
I understand now. Believe me, I have a deep affection for Jean. It's just this adoption, it never entered my mind. I need some time to think about it. If I find that I can't take Jean, I promise you, when I return to America, I'll find a family that will.
Our children are not for export, Mr. Wainwright.
Please, Maurey, I didn't mean to offend you.
When you can say to me that you will take Jean because you need and want him as much as he needs and wants you, then we shall continue. Until that time, there is nothing further to say. Good day, Mr. Wainwright.
Maurey.
No, get out, get out, get out. Get out, Mr. Wainwright.
One Armagnac to settle my nerves, a second to settle my conscience, and a third to settle the problem that faced me. And suddenly everything became clear. I could see now what Mother Superior tried to do. She was like the kennel owner who told you to take the puppy home for a few days, and if you didn't like it, to bring it back. Of course, no one ever did.
Hello.
Hello.
You were expecting someone?
No, I was just thinking. I'd rather not. Like a drink?
Thank you.
Martini, please.
Garçon, un martini pour mademoiselle.
Bien, monsieur.
Your name is William Wainwright, no? I got it from the hotel register.
And you're Nellie. I got it from the hotel lobby. Overheard a conversation about you.
Something nice, I hope.
Oh, yes, they spoke very highly of you.
I looked for you last night. I thought perhaps you would have time for the sights we talked about.
Oh, I was busy. But we could maybe take into town tonight. I could use a little diversion right now, Nellie.
I'm sorry. I'm going back to Paris on the afternoon train.
Oh, you don't live here?
Oh, no. No, I come here about once a month on weekends, just to bring cigarettes and coffee. My aunt is always glad to give them, and she gives me cheese and butter, which are impossible to get in Paris. So, I don't manage so badly.
No, sure you don't. What do you do in Paris?
I work in a hat shop on the Rue de la Paix. You are not going back to Paris today?
No, I have a decision to make here. I guess I'll hang around a while.
It has to be decided right away?
No. As a matter of fact, it's going to take a little time. It's not easy.
You couldn't think about it in Paris, as well as here?
I suppose so.
I have always found that when I cannot decide something, it is best to forget it for 2 or 3 days. And when I come back to my problem, the solution is not so difficult.
Yes. I've seen it work out that way sometimes.
Perhaps you should forget what is worrying you for a few days.
I wish I could. I don't want to think about it.
Maybe I could help you to forget.
What time's the train leave?
5:30.
You want to finish your day?
No, thank you.
I'll have to go back to the hotel. Write a letter.
I'll meet you on the train. And if you should see me on the platform beforehand, I'd rather you didn't speak. My uncle will be with me, carrying the packages.
Oh, he objects to me?
No, but he's very provincial. He might get the wrong idea if he sees me with a strange man.
Qui veut tenter sa chance? Alors, monsieur, dame, approchez. Qui n'a pas gagné, va gagner.
Montrez-moi cette boîte de poudre là-bas.
Voilà, madame, je suis à vous, tout de suite. Voilà, un poudrier direct du Faubourg Saint-Honoré.
Oh, look. Isn't it pretty?
Listen, it's my favorite song. Oh, win it for me, please. I have always wanted one like this.
Ah, monsieur, comment faire pour gagner ça?
C'est très simple, mettre dans le mille, viser le centre. Ah, presque, mais vous avez déjà gagné ce magnifique cendrier. Félicitations, essayez encore. Oh, c'est mieux que la première fois, vous êtes un fin tireur. Vous avez gagné cet indispensable objet pour le bien-être du foyer. Encore, mais la direction sait reconnaître les talents. Vous devenez l'heureux gagnant de ce chien en pluche de soie cousu main.
Oh, he's so cute. I will put him on the pillow on my bed.
I won't. We used to have a dog like this. A long time ago. I called him Pinky. That's why I want it. Andre.
Pierre, you left Paris rather suddenly. I was hoping we could have talked last night.
I took the afternoon train. Didn't seem to be any point in delaying it. Did you just get here?
No, I arrived a couple of hours ago, but they told me you were at the orphanage. When I went there, you'd already left. That Mother Superior is a strange woman, isn't she? I couldn't get her to stop talking. Going back to Paris?
For a little while, yeah.
I borrowed a car to drive down. I'll take you back.
No, thanks. I've made arrangements to go on the train. Taking the 5:30.
You'll have company. A blonde in the lobby who's taking the same train.
I've got to get away from here and think this thing over. Maybe after a couple of days, I'll be able to look at it a little more objectively.
Oh, I'm sure you will. And after a week, you'll be so objective you won't quite be able to remember what Jean looked like. And you'll reason logically that if you can't remember, no doubt the relationship meant no more to him. So you'll send the orphanage a generous donation, get on a plane, and the problem will be all settled.
It's not that simple. What I thought would happen has happened. Now that I've started again, I gotta go on searching.
Before you find your son, I hope you find yourself, Bill. I've tried to help, but each time you shut me out.
Well, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
You're not sorry, and you did it deliberately. When you lie to your friend, it's unpleasant. But when you lie to yourself, it's unhealthy. And you've been lying to both of us. The hotel room in Paris, it was the same one. And you lied about a perfume, too. It was Souvenir d'un jour. But what will the boy mean to you if you find him? You won't treat him as someone who's entitled to love and affection. No, he'll just be another something, like the perfume and the hotel room. Something to help keep alive your memory of Lisa. You feel noble and righteous because you've been so faithful to the past. And you expect everyone to admire you for it. But I can tell you one person who would not admire you. Lisa. She knew that the past is too late and the future unknown. And there is only one time for love and kindness and goodness, and that is now. She was alive and vibrant and lived every moment as it came. She would despise you for turning her into a morbid dream. You're not alone in this, Bill. There were many others. I was one. Hélène was alive, and then she was not. There was no sitting at a bedside, no pacing a hospital corridor, no doctor shaking his head. It was unreal. And I couldn't believe it. I refused to admit that Hélène was gone. I saw her on the streets, in the cafes, on the subway. And then I read the witness report of her execution. I read it over and over and over until she died in my arms. You never read about Lisa's death. You always refused to look at the report. You're going to hear it now.
Get out.
No, Bill. Before you can love the living, you've got to bury your dead. I'm sorry, Bill, but I've got to kill Lisa. Now, here, in this room. Here's a statement of the interrogator. And after 6 hours of questioning, she still refused to give any information. She was then taken to room 54 at the Rue des Saussets, where Gestapo Captain Hertz and his aide began to strike her in the face with...
I wanted to run, but I couldn't move. I seemed to be paralyzed. Or maybe I didn't move because down deep I'd always wanted to read the report and never had the courage to. Now as I listened to the unspeakable horror, I could feel every blow,
striking her
hear
in
every
the face
scream.
Again with his fist. Still, she refused to talk. Finally, when she fainted again, the captain took out his revolver and, holding it close to her ear, fired.
Now get out.
May she rest in peace.
Entree.
Vous avez sonné, monsieur?
Yes, wrap this up.
Comment?
D'envelopper pour moi. Et les porter à mère supérieure de orphelinat avec cette lettre.
Merci, monsieur. Ce sera fait dans l'heure.
It was horrible. He was all alone, and he was shrieking in terror. And I was the only one there. I had to help him, but I couldn't go to him. Something was holding me, and I...
En voiture! Messieurs, mesdames, les voyageurs pour Paris, en voiture! En voiture! En voiture!
Entrez.
Vous voulez me voir, ma mère?
Oui, Jean. Tiens, voilà un paquet pour toi.
Un paquet pour moi? Un cadeau? Binky! Binky est revenu. It is Binky. He come back, he come back. Binky, mon chien. Binky. He come back, he come back. Binky, mon chien. Binky. 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 Il est beau. Binky. Oh, monsieur, Binky est revenu.
Good, good. I promised to take you to the circus. You still want to go?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, ma mère. Thank you.
Oh, you're holding my hand too tight.
I'm sorry.
Thoughts.